Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Luna and my channel is Births of Autumn. I am a blogger and lifestyle influencer, but a lot of my work behind the scenes and outside of my blog is mental health advocacy. I have many reasons for that. Myself and my family have all had our fair share of mental health issues, and it's been such a big part of my life. I'm 22 years old and I have had my fair share of experience with mental health, and hence why I call myself an expert by experience. A lot of people will find that term unusual or unique, but it's so true. And one of the things that myself and the team I work for, Think for Brum, Birmingham Women's and Children's Hospital, and it is a youth participation kind of team where Think for Brum and YPAG come together and we do our individual projects, but then we come together and do projects, as a team. Sorry I'm not making much sense. I haven't planned this video because it's something that I believe should flow naturally, and I just felt it would be better without a structure. So yes, I have had my fair share of experience with myself and other people close to me in my life who have suffered from mental health and mental illness. Since I was about 3 or 4 years old, I started showing signs of autism, and I didn't even know what that was, and my mum didn't either. It was just put down to having tantrums and being a toddler, basically just having my little tantrums and being moody. And as I got older, those things didn't subside, they got worse, and in order to feel like a normal human being, I had to learn to really tame these issues and teach myself to overcome them. At the age of 15, I was diagnosed with high functioning autism, Asperger's syndrome. I was also diagnosed with extreme anxiety, mild social phobia, mild obsessive compulsive disorder, and I also haven't been diagnosed, but I am known to dip in and out of depressive disorder due to the things that have happened in my life. During my later years, so only the last 3 years, I have suffered with mild agoraphobia, which I'm proud to say that I'm moving out of now, and I am better than I've ever been. But it does come with its lows, very, very big lows as well. And it's something that I'm still overcoming. I have learnt so much through diagnosis, and it's made me feel less of a weirdo. I will say it bluntly. In school I was made to feel like a weirdo, and it's almost like because of what other people were saying to me, I was believing it, and it all got too much for me. I've been under mental health services since I was about 13, and some of the therapies have worked and some haven't. Again, it comes with its trial and error for different people, and different illnesses and different struggles. Some of us will find certain therapies easier, whereas some of us will struggle. It's exactly the same as different individual needs in how something can help a person, how we approach someone's illness in a certain way. So some of us will require CBT and some of us will require, I think it's DBT, dialectic behaviour, yeah, DBT. So it really does depend on the type of illness we have. Some of us will just receive counselling or things like that. So I am not ashamed to say that I am on 2 different types of medication for my mental illness and my mental health. I say mental illness and mental health because they're both valid and they are both things. We all have mental health, and it's important that we look after that mental health. And yeah, I used to be so scared of medication. I used to get really scared of swallowing tablets. That was part of my autism. I always had a fear of getting things stuck in my throat and choking when I was younger, and it actually caused me to develop, which we didn't know at the time, was essentially an eating disorder, meaning that I couldn't eat certain foods unless they were very small or unless they were mashed up and easy to swallow. But the past few years I have really overcome that fear, and yes, I'm on 2 tablets a day. And you know what? I am not at all embarrassed to talk about that, because these have helped me alongside me helping myself. And you know, like people will always say, medication doesn't cure you, but it's almost like if you were to break your leg, you'll be put in cast and you'll be given painkillers to help manage whilst your leg heals. This is my cast for my metaphorical broken leg. You know, this is to help me, you know, help myself. And alongside therapy and alongside self-care, self-help and self-love and finding what works for me, these have helped me. These have taken the edge off, and I'm very grateful that I got over my fear and embarrassment of medication, because I truly believe that these have been part of saving my life. And I know that that may seem very silly to say or very bizarre to say, but they have. And whenever I have a really bad day, which is, you know, it can be often, I'm very grateful that I've been given so many chances to help myself and get help from, you know, Forward Thinking and CAMHS and Birmingham Healthy Minds, which I've recently been discharged from, which I'm so happy about. When I was 15 and I got all my diagnosis, I lost my best friend. It was September 2012, and just a month after my diagnosis, my best friend passed away. It was a very difficult time. I was already going through the worst of my mental health, and felt like I was going insane. And when I had my diagnosis, it really, really took the edge off, and it made me realise that I wasn't going mad and that I was worthy of an explanation and an understanding as well. My school were not very understanding, and they made me feel worse. And if any of my old teachers are watching this, it's not every teacher that made me feel like this, but there were few who degraded me to the point where I didn't feel worthy as a human being, and I felt like I would never amount to anything. I'm sat here today recording this because I survived, and I continue to survive. And the people who put me down and made me feel worse, you know, maybe they just didn't have an awareness and an understanding, and I hope that throughout their life they can gain that understanding in the hopes of saving someone else's life, saving a friend of theirs, saving a family member, saving themselves, or saving another student who may be on the edge of taking their own life. When you are ripped of everything you have, it is very easy to feel like you don't belong here anymore. when my best friend died and my teachers were telling me to get over it, every day was a struggle. Getting up was a struggle, putting my uniform on was a struggle, walking to school with that horrendous feeling inside of dread and hopelessness and just purely being terrified and scared. And that is not how you should feel going to school. It is absolutely disgusting that I was made to feel like that. But I went, and I still got bullied. I got followed to school, I got followed from school, I got apples thrown at me, cans of Coke thrown at me, and often I'd go to school with my uniform soaking wet because of people throwing bottles of pop at me. So when I went to school, I expected to be in a safer place, and that is not how I felt. I was forced to go to school after my best friend passed away, and not one teacher gave me that understanding. It was actually my mentor there who became aware that I literally wasn't in any state to even be out the house, and every day I'd go and I'd get sent home. When I went in for the last few days, I had to sit with my head of house, who basically made me feel a burden. And you know, they, alongside another teacher, were saying, it's all in your head, doing this action. Now, if you suffer with mental illness, or you know someone who does, someone to say it's all in your head is literally one of the worst sentences you could hear. It just goes to show that that person doesn't take you seriously. They don't take how you're feeling seriously. And to say such a thing is it's despicable. It really is. And from that day on, I could not cope. I went home from school and I used my anger and upset to hurt myself. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, because I felt like there was no way out. I felt like hurting myself was one of the only things that I could do. And so in any way that I could, I would help relieve that pain by, you know, getting a ruler, a sharp ruler, or something like my nails or hair grips, and prodding my arms and prodding my legs and prodding my back, and, you know, cutting my skin, ripping my hair out, just because I felt so hopeless and unworthy that I felt like pain was deserved. And as much, I felt so embarrassed about that. And my mum came in and she saw me doing it, and she saw that I'd made myself bleed, and we basically went to the doctors the next day, and the doctor said to me, you're not going back to school. And it was the scariest but most relieving thing I had heard for my whole life. The thought that I wouldn't have to go back there and feel undermined, and I felt hope but also hopelessness, because then I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to just fail at life? And you know what? We went for a meeting with the school, and they said that they were going to take us to court. They said that I would never amount to anything. And I had everyone saying to me, you know, oh, you're a school dropout and you won't beat anyone, you won't get anywhere. And I believed it for such a long time, and my doctor and my psychologist worked with James Brindley School, which is a school for those who can't attend mainstream school, those with physical and mental illness. And they were saying, you know, we could get you a place in this school. And due to my experience at my regular high school, I literally couldn't stand the thought of going to another school because it scared me so much. And for about, so Lucy passed away, my best friend, and then I came out of school, and then I basically just spent that time moping. After her funeral, it was just a downhill sort of thing from there, and I spent the months up to New Year just feeling worthless and completely useless and like a waste of space on this earth. I didn't want to be here. You know, my best friend had gone and I didn't understand the point of carrying on. And I remember her mum coming round and hugging me and telling me that Lucy would want me to carry on. And Lucy wanted to go to our high school prom, but obviously because she passed away, she couldn't. And I then felt like I'd let her down because I'd come out of school, I couldn't go to prom. What if I didn't pass my GCSEs? What if I didn't? What if I wasn't able? And so I had from even my friends and family, you know, that I wouldn't be anyone. So my mum and I never gave up, and James Brindley contacted us and I had a meeting, and the gentleman was basically a lifesaver. He came round and told me and my mum that I would be homeschooled, and we both just burst out crying because it was like the most relieving thing to hear after feeling like I couldn't do anything, I wouldn't amount to anything, and there I was getting another chance and feeling like maybe I do deserve a place on this earth. And I know that sounds silly because it's just education, but the thought of being able to pass my GCSEs and proving people that I was worthy was music to my ears. And yeah, we managed to get homeschool, and although I had to drop a lot of subjects, I did all my GCSEs at home and I passed all of them, A stars, Bs, and the lowest was just a C. And it was just one of the most amazing times of my life. And I collected my GCSE certificates and I was just so pleased that I'd done it. And even though I only had about one lesson a week, I still did it. And you know, my teachers weren't really liaising with me over email, but I still did it. And for me, that achievement is huge. After feeling like I couldn't do anything, and not only did I do my GCSEs, but every day I woke up and I survived and I carried on despite feeling like the world was against me. And my headmistress invited me to our school prom. So she said that I was an asset to the school, and she even wrote me a letter to tell me how proud she was of me speaking at my best friend's funeral. And for me, even though I wasn't at the school anymore, it just showed to me that someone took notice of the good things I did and commended me for my effort despite not being a part of the school, and invited me to our prom. And I went with my best friends and we celebrated for Lucy, and it was a beautiful thing to achieve. And I went on from there and I went to college. Now, you know, going to college is usually quite an average thing for people, but for someone who dropped out of school and having loads of people say you'll never be accepted to college or university because you dropped out, and I went and I sat in there in that interview and I said to, her name was Heather, she's my music teacher, and now she's a friend and I absolutely love her. I said to her, what is my target grade in college for the end of the year? And she said distinction, distinction, merit. And I said, okay. I said, well, what is the highest grade you can get? And she said triple distinction star. And I said, I'm going to get that. And she looked at me as if to say, right, okay, everyone says that. She said, you'd need to work really hard. And I said, I'm not leaving here until I get it. What did I do? I went through the entire 2 years of college, despite all my struggles, all my setbacks, the time I had to have off from college with mental illness, and I got my triple distinction star from college, and I joined a band, and I have done so many things that I never even thought I'd achieve. I've been a singer, I learnt guitar and bass, I performed live, I have won Battle of the Bands, I played in the foyer of a very famous metal band gig, Slipknot and Korn, and I did it, and even during college I developed an eating disorder and I went through a really bad time, but I still survived and I still did it. And it's every day I looked in the mirror and I would put myself down, but I still did it. And for me, what I'm trying to say is, if I'd have listened to those people and carried on degrading myself, and if I'd have really followed through with my lack of worthiness to be in this world, I didn't prevent anything from getting worse. So if I took my own life, that wouldn't have been me stopping the pain. That would have been me preventing everything that I've done. And the thought of that it's scary, because there's so many people who have taken their lives, and I know that they would have achieved so many things. And I'm not scared that I'm crying in this video, because mental illness is so serious, and if only those people had someone who could remind them of how wonderful they were and their place on this earth, they could still be here. Even those people who look so happy on the surface can be hurting and can be dying inside. Some of our most famous actors and celebrities have taken their own lives because maybe they didn't feel like they could talk to anyone, or didn't feel like their voice would be heard or taken seriously. Every voice, no matter who you are, deserves to be heard. And don't ever feel like you aren't worthy. And even if you do, please talk to someone. Please, I beg you, because preventing suicide is so important today, more than ever. Suicide rates increased so much in 2018, and in my next video that I'm releasing today, I'm going to talk to you about how suicide has affected my family's life this year, and why suicide prevention is so important. So yeah, please take the time to start the conversation. ask people how they are, and don't ever be convinced that someone is okay just because they look okay. I can make myself look okay, but I'm hurting inside. Please, for the next 40 seconds at least, just start the conversation, because every 40 seconds someone takes their own life. Thank you. Please start the conversation. Thank you.